I don't know if you watched any of the videos I've uploaded from the past day, but I'm playing without the heads up display, so whenever something pops up, I don't see it.
Ah, the no HUD experience.
Yeah, that's been very interesting. I'm surprised I haven't done that before in a Resident Evil game where I just play without the gun rectile, and it's actually pretty wild and it adds a lot of atmosphere, a lot of tense moments.
Have you done that type of like in implementation before, like just removing the HUD and
Oh
stuff?
yes, yeah, I've been doing that for a while. I first started with Dark Souls. Whenever I started recording boss fights, I would just do it without the heads up display, and I did it a lot more in Elden Ring, and it definitely adds so much tense, so much thrill to the boss because you don't know when the boss is going to die because obviously it removes their life bar. So you're just
Mm.
kind of you're committing to a strategy you know that works for the most part, and then you're adapting to everything else going on. So
Right,
basically,
yeah.
you just got to keep going. Sometimes you can get a sense, kind of like when the microwave is about to get finished. That's kind of the same thing because you're like, oh, I know the last strike's coming, but not quite yet. And the same thing when you're sitting on the couch waiting for the microwave to ding. Is I don't know. I kind of look at it as the same thing, but once you get that final strike in, it's just so incredibly satisfying. If you haven't done that yet, I highly recommend it. At least do it for one of the smaller bosses in Elden Ring or something. Maybe Soldier of
Uh,
Godric.
oh, of course, yeah. Soldier of Godric, really intense fight there.
Yeah, I remember when I first started playing Elden Ring, I had to weaken myself so much just so I could get a proper analysis of his fight. So I think I had like a 2 minute fight for him where I had to apply a no rolling strategy. I had to one hand my weapon and even one handing my club. I was also a wretch. I was rune level 1 and still I was way overpowered. So I had to hit him every once in a while just so I can get 2 minutes of footage.
I mean, it's it's a good tutorial boss. Well, in like in the not like in the term of like Souls boss, but like as a tutorial boss, like teaching you how like the general stuff works.
Yeah, I guess it's a good
But it
mo.
is,
Hmm.
it is a bit like a bit non creative to like just make a like a normal enemy super buff, give him lots of health, and well, not that much health even.
I suppose he's a good motivator for the general experience. So it's like someone's brand new to the series, into the From Software games, and they go in and they might struggle a little bit with Soldier Godric, but when they get him, they're like, oh man, I want to explore a little bit more, and then finally they run into Margit.
Yeah. What was your first boss in Elden Ring, considering like the size and the whole area of everything?
um, uh,
Besides Soldier of Godric.
Besides Soldier Godric, it was the Erdtree Watchdog. No, no, sorry, it was the Beast of Farum Azula.
Oh, that was also my first one. And then like you have the mad lads that go out for the tree sentinel first once they see it.
I didn't even notice the tree sentinel at first because once I walked out, I walked straight forward and then I found the church. But for some reason, the sentinel was not. I just didn't see him for some reason. He must have been angled
Oh,
just right. Because when I walked back eventually, I saw him walking around. I'm like, well, that guy's obviously going to be overpowered right now.
yeah. Wow. So
Because
you just walk straight past them.
yeah, didn't even notice him. And then once I started listening to stories of people playing Elden Ring, they're like, "Man, that freaking tree dude at the beginning, man, that real guy on the horse is way overpowered." I'm like, "Yeah, I mean that's kind of what the From Software games do. They just something's
Put some big
overpowered, you come back
enemy.
later and get an overpower him."
Yeah. I
um,
mean, from soft boss, like the first one, like is usually just probably like arguably one of the best bosses that they have in the game.
oh yes, which one, Tree Sentinel, or
Uh,
just in general?
in general, like Tree Sentinel or Margit, if we're going to like main bosses.
You know, it's weird. Out of all the bosses I've done and analyzed, Marcus still makes me nervous.
How so?
He's just his aggressiveness. When I walk in, I never seem to have unless I'm just pacing far away. I never really have a good control of his fight up close. I mean, his first phase a little bit more than the second phase because the second phase gets crazy with the constant attacking.
Yeah, the hammers and the daggers and stuff.
Right. So I'm just wondering if you could parry him in the second phase at all. I'm pretty sure you can. That's what. Next time I play Elden Ring, I'm going to develop a bigger parrying strategy because that's Margit's the one fight I just haven't nailed parrying wise. Um, and that way I can get a lot more comfortable with spacing around him because I'll know if he does one particular attack, I'll be like, "Ha, I got you."
Yeah. Towards the end of my first playthrough of Elden Ring, I started to I wanted to parry more, but I was also playing Dark Souls at the same time, the first Dark Souls.
Hmm.
Both both first time playing at the same time, and I had gotten to the end of Dark Souls 1,
Mm-hmm.
and then I walk into Gwyn's room,
Right.
and then I realized that okay, I need to parry. So I started learning how to parry with those like few soldiers that they just put outside of like the Gwyn's place.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I know how to parry now. Now I'm gonna go to Elden Ring and try and parry some stuff there. And it translated a bit, not 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 I couldn't I didn't master the parry in Elden Ring, but it it helped. Dark Souls, it's yeah.
Well, what's your favorite parrying tool in Elden Ring?
I mean, I've only used the shield.
The buckler?
I don't remember. Uh,
You
I think
don't?
I used the I think I used the. No, I don't remember. I just remember like I just chose one of the shields.
Oh, okay. Well, you know each one has different registering frames, right?
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, buckler is the most generous one, and a parrying dagger is the most one of the most strict parrying frames. That's actually the one I use because it just matches my timing preference. And that's the great thing about these games is that there's plenty of parrying tools you can use to fit your timing preference.
Ah, okay. I mean, it makes sense. Yeah, definitely.
And the buckler is pretty much the perfect thing to start out with. That's what I started with in Elden Ring. Was the buckler shield, and that taught me how to get the timings down, and then eventually I found my. See, I was actually after the parrying dagger when I first started Elden Ring because I used them in the other games, but had no idea where it was, and ended up being like very early in the game because with patches he sells you the parrying dagger, but I didn't run. I didn't had no idea where he was at. I had to look it up
Oh,
eventually to find him, and he was in a very he was in a spot that I walked past several times, and I just didn't happen to look to the left.
oh yeah, that cave by the water, right?
Yeah, where the invader comes in and the
Yeah, yeah.
NPC comes in and helps you.
I mean, it's such a like it's in the middle of the open space, but like it's still even if it's so open, it's so closed off at the same time.
Right.
It just shows how big Elden Ring actually is. It's
Oh
crazy.
yes, I have so many cosplay ideas that I still want to do. I finished my Gary Bunda from Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell. I was going to make a video about it, but usually that's a good showcase for maybe a PvP video, which I don't PvP anymore. So I just basically just made a short little clip of the intro, the intro from the show, and that was basically all I did. And plus, I uploaded fights with the build, and I had every little piece of detail of what tools I was using, and that's about as far as it went. And I figured that was enough. If anyone had any questions, I could answer them, obviously.
That sounds pretty cool.
But um, Resident Evil 4. We keep
Oh yeah, we keep going off
yeah.
away from Resident Evil
That's
4.
yeah. That's just how discussions work on here. We have a main topic, and it just goes off the Elden Ring eventually.
Yeah, everything comes
Yeah,
back to Elden Ring.
pretty much
I mean,
every guest is like that.
there is parrying in Resident Evil 4, so
Hmm.
it's Dark Souls.
Yeah, I read a comment where someone said, "Oh, the parrying in Resident Evil 4 is so much better than the Dark Souls." I'm like, "Oh, come on."
I mean, I think the parrying that they did in Resident Evil 4 is super, super good. Minus the when the big chainsaw guy tries to attack you with that parry
Hmm.
one, but like with the normal enemies, I really, it's so satisfying.
Yeah, it's just after you parry for so long in the From Software games, it seems very generous in Resident Evil 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's generous, but like the presentation of it and the sound and
Yes.
just
Yeah.
the feel of the controller, it just feels so
Oh
good.
yeah, the presentation is spectacular. It's just I'm over your instinct kind of kicks in where you want to parry. You're looking for a very tiny window when there's not a tiny window because it's massive. I don't know if it
Yeah.
changes with hardcore mode, which is what I'm on. So I haven't really noticed the difference with that in terms of registering windows.
I mean, also with the parrying as well, you can't parry forever because like the knife durability.
Yep. I thought that was a very awesome change, was actually adding durability to the knife. Usually I wouldn't like durability on weapons, but for this game it works really well because because it's a horror game. It's supposed to be thrilling and it's supposed to
Yeah,
be tight.
100%.
Yes, and so I definitely welcome that change with big arms. Thank you for listening to this podcast clip. If you want to watch more of the podcast, the full podcast is in the link in the description, along with my guest channel name. And if you would like to guest in a future podcast, please contact me and we shall talk so we can discuss many, many topics, more to come. Other than that, have a glorious day.